A question that many of us have had ever since Melody of Memory is how Xehanort could know about Unreality. Now we know he does know about Unreality because Yen Sid seems to think Xehanort knew something about another world, and Memory Xehanort, yeah, we're calling him Memory Xehanort now, he said himself that he knew for certain where Sora's heart was, meaning he was aware Sora is in Unreality because the clue he gave Kairi literally pretty much implied that. But the question is, how? Well, I think a potential clue may have been shown to us already in the Star of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, and that clue may also relate to how Demyx and Luxord are involved in the Age of Fairy Tales. Throughout the entire Kingdom Hearts series, Xehanort has always been known for being one step ahead of the protagonists. Whenever you thought he was defeated, it turned out he actually had another route to reach his objectives.
However, know this. You are just one of many roads that I might choose to take. Trust me, I made certain of that.
When Xehanort was defeated in Kingdom Hearts 3, it seemed as though that was for sure the end of him, and I'm sure it mostly is. But now it turns out that Xehanort had knowledge that we'll need in order to make our next move in the next phase of Kingdom Hearts. Now let's start with the immediate first thing that we get from Dark Road that is not only strange, but also I believe may be a strong factor in providing an answer. Now for some reason we see that Xehanort has got memories of the player being in the Keyblade graveyard at the end of the Keyblade War during Kingdom Hearts Key. Now this raises a number of questions and possibilities, but something that we know for sure is that he shouldn't have any memories of this, because not only was he not alive during this time, at least to our knowledge, but also, like I mentioned in my video about Kairi's grandmother, this is an event nobody besides the Union leaders and the foretellers should be able to remember. Now if he had memories of the events after in Union, that'd still be very odd, but it'd at least make a bit more sense than this. So why Xehanort has memories of this time or event isn't known, and many people have theories on it. Some say he's the player reincarnated, some say he's the player's nobody, some even suggest that he might be the player's son, okay? But regardless of what the truth is, it is clear from the fact that he sheds a tear just like the player does that whatever their connection is, it runs deeper than just memories. So I'm sure this is somehow connected to how Xehanort knows about Unreality, but it would also explain how he knows about Arc technology. So we know Apprentice Xehanort stated Kairi could end up somewhere on the other side, but he specifically said this because she was in the Arc, meaning the Arc possesses the capability to transfer people to Unreality. But you already knew that, I would guess, right? But here's the thing that I'm curious about. How would Xehanort even know what the Arc is, what it does, or how it works? And if he created the Arc, how would he even know how to create one? If he didn't create it, how would he even know what it was? Well, we know that the Arc exists back in Daybreak Town because we've seen Maleficent use one to go to the future, which is how many of us believe the Union leaders are most likely going to end up in the future. So we know that the Arcs exist back in the Age of Fairy Tales, but that also means that they are ancient technology, because by the time Apprentice Xehanort is talking about it, this technology would be considered ancient. We know the Age of Fairy Tales is considered ancient according to how other characters speak of people and events from back then. So how does Xehanort have knowledge of the Arc at all? He's not from back then as far as we know. Nobody wrote a manual with some instructions on how to operate it or what it can do, I imagine, but I guess you never know. What we do know though is that Xehanort has dreams of this time, and judging by his own words, it's not the first time, and I doubt the plot is going to allow it to be the last time. So I think it's likely these memories or these dreams he's having of Union is how he is able to attain this knowledge of the Arc. If he has memories of the player, then I suppose he might remember everything that they experienced, which would mean if the Union leaders do indeed end up using the Arc and the player witnesses that, Xehanort may have memories of that. So that might explain the Arc technology and how he knows about it. But what about Unreality? Him having memories of the Union leaders using the Arc doesn't explain how he knows that the Arc can send someone to the other side. Well, I think it's quite possible the answer is still linked to his memories of the Age of Fairy Tales. We know that Luxord and Demyx are said to have an ancient Keyblade legacy slumbering within them, and again, the ancient times are the Age of Fairy Tale, and we know that's what it is because Marluxia and Larxene are from that time, but also for Xemnas to know about the ancient Keyblade legacy, that means Xehanort knows. That has to be because of his memories of that time. Marluxia and Larxene are two of the four people Xemnas was referring to. It's the other two that we're still uncertain about. Demyx especially, because we have absolutely no idea how he connects with this. Well, actually people have a lot of ideas, and I'm going to entertain one of them for the purpose of this theory. So some people believe that either Demyx and Luxord are from Daybreak Town and just haven't appeared yet, or they're originally from Unreality and will appear near the end of Union, but somehow by coming from the other side. Now personally, I keep flipping between these two possibilities, and I'm okay with either one, but if we're going to follow my line of thinking that the memories of Union is how Xehanort knows about Unreality, then the only theory that really fits with that is that these two must somehow appear from the other side initially. We know there's only enough arcs for 5 people, and 2 of them are going to be taken by Arena and Laurium. Subject X is most likely Scold, so she'll be taking one too, and you know Ventus has got to cop one, and I'm guessing Darkness is going to hop in with him, so that's a 2-for-1 deal, so that only leaves 1 left. Many people think that the player in Ephemer won't make it, and a lot of us agree Brain will most likely be the one to set up Scala, so who would take the final spot then? See, it doesn't really make sense for it to be Demyx or Luxord, but if we were to go by Xemnas' words about them having an ancient Keyblade legacy, you would think that means that they're going to appear in Union somehow. The only place that really makes sense is from Unreality, especially since we know Luxord is pretty well integrated into the other side as Yazora's driver. So if they appear in Daybreak Town from the other side, I imagine there'd be questions of how they arrived there, and whatever their explanation is, that's how they'll find out about this other side. But because all of the Dandelions lose their memories of this, they'd never know. But Xehanort, through whatever link he has to the player in the past, he'll acquire this knowledge. Now we do also know that Apprentice Xehanort did indeed gain knowledge about the Age of Fairy Tales from Subject X's heart, but he didn't get as much knowledge, and before he could complete his research and find out as much as he could, he already had to release her, and so she was gone. So he never got the complete understanding or knowledge of that, and he most certainly never writes in the secret reports anything about Unreality or about how his studying into the heart taught him about Unreality. And don't forget, Apprentice Xehanort doesn't have all the memories that Xehanort would actually have, but he does write in the secret reports that he was able to recover some of his memories of his old life. So maybe one of those memories was about the Ark, but maybe he doesn't have all the memories that he had of the Age of Fairy Tales. But I would imagine that Apprentice Xehanort's research, when combined with his full memories as Master Xehanort, would give him the full picture. Other than Luxu, there's nobody around who could have told him about all of this, and for Luxu to know, he'd have to have witnessed all of it, which is possible, but I'm not sure how likely that is or why he tells Xehanort all of these things, but it is a possibility. But then I'd have to wonder, why bother to give Xehanort memories of Union if Luxu will just tell him everything that happened during that time anyway? So I think it's something related to Demyx and Luxord, or at least Luxord, that will reveal to Xehanort the existence of Unreality, and perhaps from there, that's where his studying into it began. So when Yensid says that Xehanort looked more deeply into this world, remember, the ancient masters are the Union leaders, not the foretellers. Watch my video on that if you want to know why I believe that. And so, the world they crossed over into was the data Daybreak Town, and it explains why Xehanort knows about the Ark. Because of his memories of Union, he would likely want to know who these people he's remembering are, and where they came from, and what happened to them. I think in Dark Road, we could potentially see Xehanort's memories of Union become more prevalent, and perhaps his memories of their encounter with darkness will be what causes him to learn about the power of darkness and how to control it. Now, with all of this being said, this still leaves us with a glaring issue, which is, how do Demyx and Luxord even get to the present day? If there's only one arc remaining for them to use, then how do they both end up in the present? You can make the case for one or the other, but both shouldn't be possible. But if not them, then who would be the last person to use an arc? I don't think it's Ephemer because he's the light from the past in the Keyblade graveyard, and Brain is probably setting up Scala. So other than the player, who really could be the final person? Maybe you guys can share your thoughts on that in the comments below, because to be honest with you, I'm a little confused on it. Regardless of how Xehanort knows about Unreality, the matter of Demyx and Luxord still needs to be explained, because somehow, even if they are in Daybreak Town originally and they were part of the Dandelions, there's not enough arcs for all of them to make it to the future. There's only one arc left. We know the other 4 are accounted for. I don't know, it's confusing. That's why I don't really talk about Demyx or Luxord, because to be honest with you, they're way too confusing for me to make any proper theories about. So this is the closest I'm coming to putting out a theory on them for now. So you guys share your thoughts on it in the comments, because honestly I find the pair of them really confusing. But the thing is, no matter what you believe, it's just difficult to explain how Demyx, and especially Luxord, can have an ancient Keyblade legacy but also be from Unreality, unless Unreality is itself connected to the ancient Keyblade legacy. But anyway, that's all I have to say for this theory. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Union is indeed how Xehanort knows about Unreality? What about his memories of Union? Do you agree that they'll likely be important to the future of the series or not? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this topic. I still have videos coming about the Timeless River, what makes the Wayfinder trio unique, and eventually I will get back to the Vir Rex theories to discuss some new and interesting thoughts I have on the Nameless Woman, as well as what Yuzora looks like, and also some details about Vir Rex in Toy Box that I think many people may have missed. So if you want to see when all of those videos drop, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. But anyway guys, I appreciate you for listening for this long. My name is NextGenNovelist, and that's all I've got to say, and I'm out. Peace.